It's time to start slicing some stuff up in the shop today, but considering what I just found, I'm not sure this is going to be a day without excitement. I want to talk to you guys about one of the most dangerous things in my shop. Now, anybody who wants to cut opal is going to need some kind of lapidary saw. This is a 6-inch lower tone lapidary saw. It's a really kind of standard saw. Any kind of saw that you're going to get to cut opal is going to be more or less like this. High-Tech has a really great saw. I wouldn't suggest getting any of the lower tone saws right now. I'm not sure what's happening with the company, but their material is getting really hard to find. What I'm going to tell you today doesn't have anything to do with the saw. It really has to do with the blades that go with the saw. Now, as you start to cut with one of these things, the first thing you think is, oh no, this is really dangerous. People tell me on my videos, oh, you gotta, your fingers are too close to the blade or whatever. And as you get to know the saw, you're like, well, that's not really the case. That's not how these blades cut. Trim saw blades cut because they have a centered diamond ring, which means there are diamond particles that are embedded in metal on the outside of the ring, and those diamonds essentially, instead of cut, what they really do is they grind really fast in a line, right? So, I mean, that is kind of cutting in a way, but it's not the kind of cutting that can do your finger much damage if you just kind of touch it on the edge. Now, if you push on it really hard, yeah, it's going to hurt you, but, you don't do that whenever you're cutting. But that's not how I got hurt with this saw. Thing is that the outside of that ring is made out of diamonds and then some kind of composite material. It's usually like a copper or a bronze or nickel or some different powders in which that diamond material is pressed under a lot of pressure to create that ring. And then the ring is somehow adhered to a steel disc that creates the body of the saw blade. As time goes by, you might use one of these blades for a few years. As time goes by, if you're not 100% careful with protecting the steel part of that blade from the water, maybe you leave a little bit of water in the container, maybe you forget, maybe maybe it's just really humid and the paint that covers the blade comes off. Eventually, that blade will start rusting, and there will become a point where the part where the steel adheres to this diamond-centered bit will start to rust out. And if that point gets too open, it creates an opening between the steel and the centered part, well then essentially what you have is a meat slicer. And these are the meat sticks, and I wasn't paying attention. I started my saw up and I was making a cut, and my finger went past that centered bit and it got caught in the hole that was between the centered bit and the steel, and then I lost the tip of my finger. Luckily, it was just the very tip and it grew back. The lesson here is not to be complacent whenever it comes to these machines, and to respect them, and if your blade starts to rust out, that's the time to get a new blade. I've got this problem with this particular blade. I'm starting to see light through the blade, so it's time for me to replace this blade. And I'll walk you through that process. You may not have a lower tone machine, you may have some other machines, but the process of replacing the blade is generally all the same. So here's my blade. You can see the part that I was talking about. Here's the centered part up top, and this is the steel part down below. You can see that there's a little bit of rust there. And generally every time after I cut, I drain the reservoir here and then I'll spray this blade. But there we go. You can start to see that the center part is intact here, but you can see the light through because this part is rusting out. I could probably get away with leaving this blade on a little bit longer, but I remember how bad it hurt and how long it took me out of action. And whenever I was doing it before, it was something very similar to this. It wasn't a big hole, but whenever I started cutting, the hole opened up a lot quicker, and I wasn't fast enough to catch it because it opened up while I was still cutting. And so the hole got bigger as I was cutting, and I didn't realize how big the hole had gotten until I had lost the tip of my finger and my saw was covered in blood. So if you're in Australia, I highly suggest Aussie Sapphire. It's aussiesapphire.com.au. They carry blades for all of these machines. This is a 6-inch machine, so I've got a little 6 blade here. Quick note on the thickness of the blades. I know it can be tempting to get a thicker blade because the thick blades last forever, but whenever you're cutting opal, it's really important to understand that every time that blade slices through the opal, if it's, say taking off 0.2 millimeters every 10 times you slice through an opal, that's a full opal, right? So you want to get the thinnest blade that you can comfortably cut with. Usually the thinner the blade, the cheaper the price as well. So you have to replace them more, but the more expensive the material you're cutting, the more likely that you're going to just have to replace the blades really often. All right, look at this nice new blade. How nice does that look? You can see easier now the difference between the centered part with the diamonds in them, and you can see the little diamonds there and the middle part here. It's got a little arrow on it, so we know which way to put it in as it spins. All right, so the first thing we need to do is get the platform off. This just pops up. Here, as you get in here, you see you've got a bolt here, but as you turn this bolt, there's nothing for you to stop the spin of this blade, right? And if these blades are so nice that you keep them on for a couple of years, and this almost always locks up. So what you need to do is you usually can't stop it by just holding this blade. Usually what you have to do is find the other end of the shaft, and on the lower tone, these are right behind here. And when you find the other end of that shaft, you can grab onto it with a pipe wrench or something like that, and that'll give you the kind of purchase on thing that you need in order to free it up. So if it's not too bad, sometimes you can get a vice grip on that. Mine has been locked away for some years, so this is called a pipe wrench. And pipe wrenches essentially will lock down harder the harder the thing in the middle turns. There it is. Okay, and that's pretty much it. As it comes off, it's going to have a little flat washer here. The old one comes off, and it spins. My arrow, there's my arrow. It spins this way, it comes down. So that goes on. This back on it as well. All right, we've got it all nice and snugged up. Now we just do everything in reverse. All right, so there we go. That's the full process there. The whole thing takes, maybe 5 minutes once you get the thing in there. You just need to make sure that you know the thickness of the arbor, because sometimes they're 1/2 inch and sometimes they're 5/8. If you need to replace that or order new blades for your saw, you need to make sure to know what the thickness of that arbor is. Aussie Sapphire is great if you're in Australia. High-tech is really, really expensive to ship here for blades. So for all of my American cutters, I suggest going to the High-Tech website. I'll give you a link down below. If you use my affiliate code 53frogs, you'll get 10% off of any of the blades. So that's a great way to use that code and to help support the channel. If this has been helpful, or if any of the educational videos that I've done over the last 8 years have been helpful, please consider subscribing and smashing that like button for me. It really helps me make more videos like this for you guys. Thanks, and see you next time.